Welcome to RomWills Money Matchers. Have a good attitude at vending shows. Have a good attitude. Like, you know what? Sometimes people don't lose out because they selling some whack products or their presentation. Sometimes they just have a bad attitude. I remember one vending show in particular. There was a guy, he just did not have a positive attitude. He was like, oh, people ain't checking me out. People ain't doing this. He was right near me, and I ain't gonna lie. Some other people checked him. I was just quiet with him. I was about to say something, and I was still getting some people. In fact, I think he was a little mad that I was still making some sales. But he didn't have a good attitude. I'm gonna tell you what. When you at these vending shows, you have to have a good attitude. In fact, there was one time with me, had a gentleman who was at the table with me. And I ain't gonna get into why he was at the table, and this was his first ever vending show. And this was and I might have mentioned this one before. In fact, I did. We didn't make any sales while he was at the table. But then he left early, and then that's when I was starting to get sales. I'm gonna tell you what, you gotta have a good attitude. I don't care what's happening, because very rare, unless you selling food, people are not gonna just be lined up. Like if you selling food, people might be lined up, and even then it depends on what food that you have. But other than that, you might get one person, buy some stuff, stop there. You might not get anybody else for 20 minutes. And then you might get 3 people who stop in that next 20 minutes. And then you might not get anybody else for an hour. I don't care what it is. From the moment you walk in there, you have to have a good attitude. Because one of the things that really helps you is having a good attitude. I remember a vending show I did outside. And I talked about it before, because I showed up to that vending show. It was outside, and all I had was money I didn't have any money in my pocket. I had gas in my car. For whatever reason, I didn't make money, I could have got back home. I wasn't able to provide change. I wasn't able to eat. I didn't have anything. I was broke. So I would be up there dancing. And that was part of the thing that was bringing people to my table. They didn't know how much was in my pocket, but I didn't go in with a bad attitude. I went in with a great attitude, because that's one of the things. If you sitting up there, you having fun, you smiling, you friendly to everybody, people picking up on that. I'm gonna tell you what. I don't care what you're selling. I don't care what it is. I don't care how badly people need it. If you going in there and you're not smiling, you don't have a great attitude, people don't want to come over there. See, here's the thing, and this is not just for vending, just for sales, period. Sales is more about connecting with people. Connecting with people. Because I don't care, and I mentioned this in a car video last week. One of the things is people can buy, most products you can buy it in multiple places. The thing that might make a person buy a product from you as opposed to those 5 other places they can get it is you have a good attitude. When you go into a vending show, like when I would go to natural hair shows, there'd be a ton of people selling shea butter. Shea butter. A ton of people. It's multiple tables. There'd be a ton of people selling natural soaps. Basically, it's very few products that somebody have that nobody else is selling. So you have to do a little bit extra to get people to your table. I don't care what it is. Even me selling some books. Now, I've sold books at natural hair festivals, and as this obnoxious little kid pointed out, oh, they ain't gonna sell. They came in, they would come and stop it anyway. Why? Because I had a good attitude. I don't care what you selling, what your setup is. You gotta be smiling. And that I already talked about always standing up, but you gotta have a good attitude. You gotta be nice and friendly. People picking up on that. Sometimes, and I'm gonna tell you what, sometimes you might not have, they might look over and they might see, oh no, I don't want any of that. But if you have a good attitude, they come over anyway. And in fact, sometimes there's been times I've done some vending and I might have, there was a product and it actually got me started on my whole relationship thing. It was called Finding a Good Man. It was a pamphlet I was selling for $1. And the reason why I even put it together, because I said people would still stop by my table regardless. So I wanted to get them on something. It was like a raffle ticket, but they would buy it. They would buy it because I always had a good attitude. I was always having fun. That one festival I went to that was outside, I ain't having any money. That was one of the things I was selling. You know, I'd be up there dancing, having fun, smiling. Be like, hey, come check this out. I say it like that too. I'd be like, hey, check this out. I ain't be like, hey, check this out. Or I ain't be sitting there like, oh, nobody's checking me out. It's like, man, you gotta chill. You gotta have fun. When you are at a vending show, you have to have a good attitude. And like I said before, you should be standing up, should be friendly to people. You just never know. You just never know. I had mentioned when I was at the Harlem Book Fair and sold 17 books. Now, that might not seem a lot considering the amount of people there, but one of the books I sold was to a bookstore owner. Another book I sold was to somebody who had a distribution company. And the whole time I still had that great attitude, even though at the Harlem Book Fair I was about to get into a fight. And this dude, he was feeling good. He's like, yeah, you won't be able to sell any more books. And I couldn't for 10 whole minutes. I just sat down, calm, went back to like having that great attitude. And yeah, there's going to be some times you have some problematic people, but even then, let it go, cool off, and then you still have that great attitude. You gotta have it. You gotta have it, because I've seen plenty of people. You walk by their table, they don't say hi to you, anything. They just sit there. It's like, man, why would I check this out? Seriously, I've seen that. It was like, come on now, you know. And actually, doing like just walking through some vending shows, I'm seeing that more and more with some people. Like they just being friendly. You want to be that. You want to be that. You want people to check it out. You want to say hi to them, whatever. You want to have a great attitude. Because like I said, I don't care how crowded it is. You can get that one person who stopped by, then you don't have anybody stop by for 20 minutes, and then you have 3 people stop by, you'll have a big crowd. In fact, one of the things in doing the vending shows, you can have crowds like that. But here's the thing, no matter what, have a good attitude. Have a good attitude, no matter what. Because it was just like that one show I did, I ain't make any money until the last hour. That's because I kept a great attitude until no matter what. I wasn't like, oh, I ain't selling anything today. No, I was just like, that same attitude, same smiles. People were stopping by. And as I've said before, sometimes people, they'll walk past your table, see you have a great attitude, they'll come back. All right? Keep that attitude. So anyway, that's all I have for today. And y'all have a good weekend. I'll get back with you on Sunday morning. All right? So anyway, let's go make that money.